look, I'm not sure why you're all overcomplicating it. It's really quite simple. You can come to a protest, but not if you're bringing a gun, unless it's for protection, but not protection from people with guns. You can attack people holding skateboards for reacting to you holding a gun, but not the people holding guns reacting to you holding your phone. Because being underage shooting a gun you didn't legally purchase equals concerned citizen, but being an adult with a permit for a gun you've responsibly concealed equals domestic terrorist. Even if we only see it after we've already shoved you to the ground, which retroactively changes the reason we shoved you to the ground. Clearly, the teenager who shot people deserves a podcast, and the ICU nurse trying to help people avoid pepper spray is an agitator, because we have a zero-tolerance policy for disobeying uniformed officers that goes all the way back to January 7th, 2021. And remember, they're only in Minneapolis to secure the border because of Somalia. Glad we cleared that up, because so many of you in the media have been focused on the wrong things. Now, I am happy to take any questions you have about the President's Ballroom.
Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, to In Time. Lance, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Oh, good. Yeah, as I was telling you, it's the good news is the weather forecasts so far have been off by about 10 degrees in a positive direction. But where I am, they're saying the high for the next 7 days is going to be -3. That's the high. Oh dear. So we're going to begin with the usual chat and fireside chat, talk about whatever we want to talk about. I'm a little interested in the FBI raiding the Fulton County Elector's Office and why Tulsi Gabbard was there, because that's unusual.
It's all part of trying to prove that elections were not secure and foreign influences, Serbia, of all things, were trying to influence the outcome, and that's why we need to have much closer scrutiny by the administration of all elections in the midterms to make sure that the results come out the right way.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, because that's one of the things. It's like, at first when I saw it, I was just like, really? He's still stuck on 2020, dude, yeah. But it did not cross my mind immediately that what you just said, the second half, which is it's not just 2020. It's a large part 2020. But at this point, and I don't, listen, I work very hard to not be inflammatory. I do get upset sometimes, and I say inflammatory things deliberately sometimes, but usually I don't. But given what we've seen out of, say, Department of Homeland Security, where what they've said have been utter lies, and to some extent you say, well, Kristi Noem didn't know that it wasn't true when she said it. Yes, that is correct. Having said that, she didn't bother to check. She just went with whatever she wanted to, and she knew full well it could all have been wrong. So in my view, that's far enough to constitute a lie. So if the Department of Homeland Security is going to lie about their own actions, if they're not going to investigate it, at least they put these two officers on leave. The officer who shot Renee Good, it has not yet been put on leave, to the best of my understanding. So they're getting better as people protest more and say you need to handle these things seriously. But it hadn't crossed my mind that the reason you put Kristi Noem there and the reason you is because you're trying to also figure out. So at this point, whatever they find, they're gonna find that Fulton County did a great job, and so what they're gonna find is that it was all rigged and Trump actually won. It didn't cross my mind that they're then going to say, well, that means the midterms we're gonna need you know, spies and special agents at every single polling booth.
This is not just about the Orange God King's fragile ego.
Yeah.
This is a far more nefarious plot.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's a plot. Because I think they know, based on what's happening in Milwaukee and other places around the country right now, how pissed the American public, even their own followers, are getting at them. So the only way to come out of the midterms with anything resembling a majority in either of the chambers is to, have people there to boondoggle the whole thing.
Well, and so far the Texas gerrymandering thing backfired.
Oh, yeah.
Because it turns out Texas isn't permitted to do the gerrymandering, so they got to use the old map. But the vote that was held by Newsom in California can stand, so their new 5 Democratic congressmen can stand. And it was triggered only if Abbott did his. It's like, wow.
They're not good strategists. They really aren't.
Which I'm thankful for. Now, I was concerned when Home came in for a number of reasons. Home, we've covered. He said, and this is shocking, that the U.S. policy on immigration is humanitarian. It's one of the most humane ones there is. And he gave as an example of this, that, of course, if you have a child born here, that child is a U.S. citizen. So when they deport the child's mother, they give her the option to take the child with her. We've never deported a child. We've never deported an American citizen. We've only deported the mother who chose to take the child with her. And when pressed on, well, that's not really much of a choice, he said, well, yeah, it's not. It's horrific. And the mother should have thought of that before having a kid in the United States.
Wow.
That was his answer. He's now in Minneapolis, taking over, and has done a couple of rather extraordinary things. He spoke with Waltz, who spoke with the head of their police department, which is the Crime Apprehension Bureau or whatever they call it. And he's gotten Trump to come out publicly say, okay, we're going to be more targeted. He hasn't admitted that they haven't been targeted at all so far, but at least, okay, that's something everybody's wanted to hear. He has agreed that they're going to be more targeted, and he's agreed that he will eventually, we don't know what that word means, do a drawdown on the condition that Minnesota agrees to notify ICE when releasing people from prison who are here illegally and have already had a criminal record prior to being put into prison. So it's not counting whatever they're in prison for, which doesn't strike me as unreasonable. So my first thought was, okay, who paid him $50,000 this time? Because he's also the guy he's the one who got caught by the FBI. Yep. Taking 50. I mean, this is normally I would be a little more careful because I can get sued for defamation. But he was caught on video by 2 FBI agents being bribed with $50,000. I mean, it's just not. The 2 agents were undercover. This isn't rocket science. So here he is. You and I had discussed it briefly. What are your? I mean, it's and he said, "Look, I want to de-escalate. I don't want anyone else to die." What are your thoughts?
That's pablum for the press. That's propaganda. The reality is they're going to continue doing what they're doing. They've probably told people, the ICE agents and Customs and Border Patrol agents that are out there, stop shooting people
for a couple of days.
Yeah, just for a couple of days. Use a little more discretion, try to de-escalate things because the press is really doing them in. It's bad enough that even MAGA diehards are beginning to question what's going on. And that's frightening to them, is they need that 30% to retain anything resembling control of government.
The gun thing really backfired on them. The NRA came out and condemned his statements and even said they were dangerous. And I'm just like, I don't know how I lived in a world
where you're agreeing with the NRA.
Yeah. I'm like, go get him, NRA.
Yeah.
What is it actually? And I know I had this up earlier, and we showed this earlier, but I thought you might like to see this. I love this meme. I don't know. I just I'm just like, okay, we're with the libertarians now, and yeah. Well, and I for the Rittenhouse thing, I was just like, here's where he followed the law, and the law shouldn't have been what it was, but now when it's here, it's like I use the same criteria. The guy had completely followed the law.
Yeah.
And, I may disagree with that law, but you can't. And I love how he said retroactively, because they didn't know that he had the gun until they had him in a fetal position.
Yeah.
Then they disarmed him and shot. And CNN did a great video of that. I do want to talk about that in a minute. Before we do, there is one pressing matter that we need to talk about. And I want to get your opinion on this. Now, we've had the names of the ICE agents. We do not release them. And the reason is it's doxing. I am going to give you the name of this guy, and the reason is he doxed himself. He has put this video out on his own social media. He has repeatedly threatened Andrew Mercado. He has threatened Mercado Media. His name is Jaden Scott. He's unapologetic for it. You can find him on X. I would strongly recommend nobody listening to this ever engage him, ever, for any reason. And I think, Commander, after you had seen that, you would agree with my thinking on this. He kind of looks and sounds like a clown, in as much as, he sounds like he's trying to be mafioso. I have met many more psychopaths than I should, than any human being. But I wrote a biography of a prison psychologist, and I interviewed most of his patients. He worked at Walpole Maximum Security Prison, and the number of psychopaths I met either through that or just by having a BA in psychology, this guy is serious. 80 to 90% of death threats are not serious. This guy is. He threatened Mercado. We are going to play the threat. The reason we're going to play the threat is because, and I don't want to, because I don't want to give this guy any more attention but Mercado has asked that we do, and I understand how and why. Well, he's asked that everybody just spread it. So it's on our Discord. We're going to spread it out. Anyone who knows Andrew, we have, by the way, reached out to him. I don't know how much equipment he had. The police told him to leave. The police told him to get out. Which means they recognize too, because there are threats, and then there's, yeah. So we don't know what equipment he's got with him. So long as we are not broadcasting, he is welcome to the use of any production that In Time has that could be made available to him. I reached out and told him that, so he already knows. My suspicion is it's not likely much we can do, but we're more than, if he's got incoming media, if he needs video editing, whatever, we are happy to provide that until he gets himself back up and running, because I think what he does is very important, and we would be honored to help. Anyways, this is the threat that Mercado received, and actually what I want to do is make sure that the audio on this is as it should be, because I don't want to have to play this again. This guy, unfortunately, has done multiple. He started an organization. You may or may not remember the autonomous zone that they've created in Minnesota, which I'm not a huge fan of doing that kind of thing, but I guess he hacked their website, changed out who was going to be guarding what, put some of his own people in as the guards and disassembled it. You think that the protesters are causing trouble? Holy shit. So let's get this up. Mercado got this, I think, 2 days ago. Let me put this up here. This is the video that Andrew Mercado got, I think, on social media. This is on this guy's web. Like I said, I don't mind using his name because he doxed himself. So here we go.
Andrew, your video, it was cute. However, the team of punishers, we got your address. We know who you are. Watch your fucking mouth. You hear me? Watch your fucking mouth. Commies, stand down. We've broken your signal groups. We've hacked your sites. You dumb fuckers vibe coded out a site that should have been locked down. And Andrew, watch your fucking mouth, bitch boy. Wipe your paws off.
Misinformation comes with consequences.
All right, anybody who's just playing, who thinks that they're being hot and cool, whatever, there's going to be modulation in the voice. There's going to be some change in emotion. It's very hard to make a threat and not be more dynamic. That guy is dead throughout the entire thing. He is absolutely capable of following through on and again, the fact that the police appear to have taken it really seriously and told him to move out. So he has moved out. That was his home they were in front of. Commander, any thoughts on that before we move on?
This is part and parcel for what, the Nazis did to seize power. And other revolutionary groups do the same thing. It's those who are your most vocal opponents. If you cannot silence them by direct action, you threaten them and make them scared, and hopefully they will stop opposing you, or at least go silent, even if they do oppose you.
All right. So, oh dear. So we've had a couple of very near breaking, and we've been thinking about whether we were going to go breaking or not with it, and we were going to merge it all. The first one was Cuba. I guess just their existence has been declared a national emergency, so the U.S. is now in a state of national emergency over Cuba. Trump has declared that he is going to use his acts that are given during the tariff ability to tariff the living shit out of all Cuban oil going in and out, and any country that trades with Cuba. That's part of my concern. The other part is, once again, because it's a national emergency, he can, even though in both the actual executive order and in the follow-up notes that came from that they do, that makes it a little, that translates what they're doing into plain English. In both of those, let's see. The fact sheet: President Donald Trump addresses threat to the United States by the government of Cuba, so imposes the tariffs, authorizes Secretary of State Commerce to take all necessary actions to implement the tariffs. Yeah, but I read this as, even though he doesn't say it, he's permitted to attack Cuba. Does that sound about right, or does he need to declare them terrorists first?
The way the AUMF is written, all he has to do is say, Cuba supports terrorism, and he now has a green light to do whatever he wants.
Okay. Oh. Well, he did kind of, Cuban regime aligns itself with numerous hostile countries and malign actors, hosting their military and intelligence capability. For example, Cuba hosts Russia's largest overseas signal intelligence facility focused on stealing sensitive national secrets from the United States. I don't buy that. That's probably a lie, because that's Trump's job. Trump is the one who Putin has hired to send intelligence to Russia, usually vis-a-vis a public Twitter post. But other than that, yeah.
Well, kidding aside, they actually do have a very robust intelligence collection outfit operating out of Cuba.
And I assume I assume it's going to Russia.
Oh, some of it, sure, certainly, but most of it's for their own internal use.
So we got that. He seems very interested in attacking Cuba. His language isn't quite as bellicose as it was for Venezuela by this stage, but, I don't know. But we've also now got a House resolution, which appears to be, and I'm trying to learn more about it, if anybody learns more about what this bill is, but it appears to be, it's called the Elections, Make Elections Great Again Act or something. Yeah, yep, it's called the, this act may be cited as the Make Elections Great Again Act. I've just learned of this bill. I don't know exactly what it does. I could, it requires voting in person at a minimum. But since I don't have a fact sheet or synopsis, so if anyone has
Whatever
one,
happened to states' rights?
yeah,
Different
wait a minute, he's not permitted to do this. This is a violation
of. The thing is that they're supposed to be, the Republicans are supposed to be the states' rights party, and yet here they are with a guy who's doing everything in his power to strip away anything resembling states' rights. Hypocrisy with the Republicans never lessens. It always just gets deeper.
Let me just quickly see. So what I want to do is there's I found a couple of articles. There's one by Fox News, Democracy Docket, who I like, but I'm not going to read on air because they're a little more vocal towards the left. So what I'm going to do is read what The Hill has to say about it, as neutral as I can find reasonably right now. House Republicans unveiled sweeping elections reform bill that would mandate presenting a photo ID when voting and citizenship registration to verification to vote. Oh.
Do you have anything that confirms you're a citizen? I would contend that probably 85% of the country don't.
I think that's about correct. They
have documents that say, you're a legal resident of this state or whatever. That's not a confirmation of citizenship.
Well, the only one that you could have, I think, would either be your birth certificate or passport. And because I've traveled a lot, I actually do have both. But I'm also fully aware that I think only 15% of Americans have a passport. I've actually gotten one. And there's no other reason that I'm aware of to get your birth certificate except for maybe, I don't think you need it for marriage. I suppose that would vary by the state. So most people probably don't have a birth certificate. Holy smoke. And obviously, you know this, I know this, but just to reiterate this, the less money you have, just the less money you have, we're not going to use any other metric.
Less likely you are to have either.
Exactly. And the less likely you are to have a driver's license because you probably use public transit. Most of the people I know in New York, by the way, don't have a driver's license, at least in New York City, because the public transportation is that good. It's good. It smells a lot, but it's good. It's reliable. And people live there. It's so hard to get a parking space. I had a cousin who had an apartment, and even though he had an apartment, there were fewer spaces than apartments by a lot, so you had to wait. He waited 15 years before he got a parking space. So he waited 15 years before buying a car or getting a driver's license. Holy smoke. Okay. Americans, okay, so this has been introduced by the House Administration Committee Chair Brian Stell, Republican of Wisconsin. It is again called the Make Elections Great Again Act. I'm going to read that part again just because Americans should be confident their elections are being run with integrity. I think that's no, that was okay. So the lead is would mandate the requirement to present photo ID and citizenship verification. Presumably real ID. Real ID would probably cover both of those. So anyone who's gotten real ID, I think, would be covered by both of those. Real ID is being mandated at different speeds in different states, I think. Let's see. Americans should be confident that their elections are being run with integrity, including common sense voter ID requirements, clean voter rolls, and citizenship verification.
That does bring up the question of, well,
Yeah.
if you're required to vote in person, how are they going to handle people who live abroad for substantial periods, or the military who are deployed abroad?
I haven't read the bill. I would assume for the military there's an exception, especially since the military tends to vote more right than left. But that's a good, let me just, in addition to requiring, the bill restricts how states administer and maintain their election systems. The bill would require mail-in ballots to be received by the so obviously, so I'm not sure how mandate. Okay, so we'll have to read the specifics of the bill, I think, to understand it better. But they would have to be received by the close of the polls on election day to be counted, making an exemption for military stations overseas. Several states currently allow ballots to be counted if received up to a certain point after election day, as long as they are postmarked by election day, often leading to delays in determining election winners in states like California, where the vast majority of ballots are cast in by mail. And here's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, my state, Washington, that's the only way you can vote is by mail.
The other problem is this probably is going to end up being an unfunded mandate, which is to say what they're going to do is they're going to say, and they're saying this here, there has to be a paper trail for all voting devices, which I actually believe in. I'm not sure how the federal government can legally mandate that, but it looks like they're going to take a stab at it. And since the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court, I assume it's going to work. But there are, again, so in a lot of states, the money for the voting systems comes locally. So in poorer neighborhoods, you have voting machines that are often broken or don't work. They also don't get cleaned out as often. So this was a big issue during Bush v. Gore, which is it turned out that there were a lot of undervotes as a result of somebody would try to push the pin through the paper ballot, and they couldn't get it through because all the Chad were underneath blocking, and it was just so you couldn't use the machine. And you could see what they intended because you could see the poke, but they didn't actually pop the thing out. So and it's just, and you end up with these problems much more in poorer neighborhoods who also tend to be more democratic than you do in the wealthy districts where they can pay for the most modern machines.
Yeah. Another thing that's worth noting is that lower income people tend to vote Democratic are usually paid on an hourly wage rather than a salary. And so that means they need to take a day off without pay to go vote.
And if this restricts hours, which I will bet you that's in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
If it restricts hours, then you have to either take the day or not vote.
This is a smokescreen to disenfranchise lots of people.
Well, and it's amazing how successful Jim Crow was in disenfranchising. I mean, it really works if you do it right and you know what you're doing. And it can seem so reasonable. The one I remember most learning about in high school was Alabama just passed a law that said, every ballot came with a set of instructions, and you had to follow the instructions carefully, and you had to read them. Nobody could explain the instructions. They wanted you to read the instructions yourself, and they did that because they knew most of the black people couldn't read, which means they couldn't follow the instructions properly, and if there was even the slightest error, or if they asked for help in reading the instructions, they're like, either I'm not permitted to help you, or you need to go now because the instructions say you're not allowed to ask. So it sounds reasonable until you take a look at what the impact is on other people. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to check the live chat here.
Well, the other thing I think it's worth mentioning at this point, which we talked about briefly before coming on, apparently Republicans somewhere in Congress, I don't know who were, I think it was the House, but I'm not positive, have introduced bills to repeal both the 14th and the 17th Amendments. Now, the likelihood of this ever happening is pretty low, considering what you need to do a constitutional amendment, which repealing an amendment would be. But just so everybody's up to speed on what we're talking about, number one, 14 is equal rights, basically.
Equal protection.
It says if you're born in the country, you're a citizen.
Yep.
And if they repeal that, then that means they can pick and choose who they want to be a citizen.
The 14th Amendment is considered the foundation of civil rights. It is the most cited amendment in litigation. It is essential for keeping rights, challenging discrimination, and advocacy for African American women and other groups, because it made it illegal to discriminate or deny due process based on sex or color of skin. It did not include sexual orientation, but sexual orientation, religion, and lack thereof. So being an atheist was added by President Obama, which I thought was interesting.
So that's what the 14th is they want to pull.
Yeah, that's a great amendment.
Then the 17th is the one that has requirement for states to elect senators by direct ballot for that state. Prior to the enactment of the 17th, the state could decide how it was going to appoint or elect senators. And many of the states that were, let us say, pinkish in color, the governor appointed the person who would be their senator. So as long as you held the governor's mansion, you ensured that both senators would be from that party.
And considering how hard since Bush, it was Rove's plan to go after all the governorships, which ended up being a brilliant strategy. The consequences of that strategy have been echoing for quite some time. In fact, actually, as I recall, the governors every state is allowed to choose how it divvies up its electors. I think it's the legislators who decide, but the legislators in most states have said the governor can do it. And then after abuses of that, they said, well, the governor does it, but the governor does it in proportion to the vote of the state so that they don't,
No, in most cases, it's not proportional. It's the individual who runs the state. Even in case of just a single vote, they get all the electors. That's the norm. I think there are only 2 states that have proportional.
That's true. You're correct. It is. It's only two, I think, that do it. And that's why if it weren't for the two, if they all did it proportionally, I think it would actually end up working out that you could not have. I think it's because they either all have to be proportionate or all not proportionate. By having some proportionate and some that aren't, you can end up with someone who wins the popular vote but loses the Electoral College. Which is another thing that I've noticed they have no interest in changing, because every time it's happened so far in recent history, it's benefited the Republicans.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, make no mistake, this is all a deliberate attempt to dismantle democracy as we understand it in this country. Yeah, I don't think they'll go so far as to make it a single party state, but what they will do is ensure that the Democrats are perpetually in the minority. They're the opposition group that everybody ignores because they don't have any say.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I'm curious. So this bill was introduced today. I'm just since I just became aware of it literally during the stream. Dorito passed it on to Titan. I don't know yet what the likely over or under is on passing it. They have to do it as soon as possible, because every day as the midterms get closer, Trump loses power. Whether he gains that power back or not depends on the midterms, but he's losing power every day, because every day the senators, and this is crazy, I know, but I want you to listen to me. The senators and congressmen become more beholden to the people of their state as the midterms get. It's weird. It's a unique feeling that your opinion actually matters to your representatives, but it will as the midterms get closer, meaning Trump is going to have to pass this before. And so let's see. They'll filibuster it in the Senate. So they'll need 7 Dems to, I think it's less than 7. I think they need 5 Dems to flip. And I don't think they can get that 5. So hopefully this goes nowhere, but I don't think it's a guarantee that it goes nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You've got all that going on, plus you've got the continuing resolution. A lot of people are pissed at Schumer that he agreed to sign off and passed a bunch of it, but they very carefully removed the portion of the budget that talks about Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
And they're going to negotiate that and get things changed. Now, how much they negotiate, but the problem is the way it works now, it's DHS's, their prerogative of how they're going to divide up that money. And some of that money used to be, a significant portion of it, went to FEMA. FEMA's part of DHS.
Yeah.
But we know that since Noam took office, basically the whole DHS budget has gone to the, ICE and the Border Patrol and those kind of groups. And I think the intent is to try to, in committee, get that other portion of the continuing resolution that addresses DHS and apportion those out specifically by departments.
That would make sense. It would be nice to see FEMA getting more funding. There was a MAGA. I was going through the scroll. I think there was the discussion scroll, and somebody dropped a little video on Twitter of a MAGA guy who said, "I'm MAGA. I'm going to be MAGA forever. I'm going to support Trump forever, and here's why." And he had some issue as a result of a hurricane or a storm that had recently come through, and FEMA helped him. And he's like, only Trump has the courage to make sure that FEMA is doing us. Just like, dude, if you got help from FEMA under current circumstances, so it must have been a pretty small storm, because they're not. And he's defined. I was like, do they even know? They don't.
It's kind of like what we've opined goes on with Putin and discussions about the situation of the front. He's fed information that they know will make him happy. They never tell him the truth because they know that will make him mad, and then people get fired or fall out windows or what have you. So you just make up crap and tell him that, oh, everything's going beautifully. We're gaining ground. Our soldiers, only one person was shot in the whole front last month, that kind of nonsense. Whether he believes it or not is a separate issue, but that's what we know he's being fed. And so I think that's kind of what goes on here is when the MAGAverse tells you, oh no, FEMA's being fully funded, you just accept it as gospel. And yet when you look at it, it's like FEMA's budget's been reduced to, about 10% of what it used to be.
Well, the other problem too is that they're actually already funded for a period. I don't know what that period is. I know it's more than a couple of months. I don't know if it's for a year, but whatever. If in this budget process they dropped it to zero, it would not count. They would still get their previously allocated funds up to a period of time. I don't know what it is, but there was another article basically saying that actually what they do right now is going to have no immediate impact on ICE. If they defund ICE completely, ICE has enough money to go for months.
For a year or two.
Yep. So let's see. This I guess this guy. This was based on Mr. Scott, the one who was threatening, what's his name, Andrew Mercado, appears to, the word that he had used was executed. We executed one of yours. So that's a nice thing to say to protesters about. Anyways, it looks like he has missed. He had a jail appearance and has missed it. So there's now not a jail, a court hearing, and so there's a warrant out for his arrest. Thank you for that. Yeah. Well, all right. I don't want to make the show about him, but thank you. All right. Well, I did want to ask you. So, and we've had this discussion before, but I think everybody's nerves are fraying a little. They're wearing a little thin. You're a commander in the Navy. You've seen it. You've seen, and I can't imagine what it's like. You've got guys on a boat. It's not like they can go to McDonald's or go, get something they can't just suddenly go bowling or watch a movie to unwind. How do you advise people to manage stress when they're seeing what we're seeing and they're feeling what we're feeling now?
Well, first off, on the ships, they do have movies. They have, an internal TV channel, and they'll run movies and other things on there. The news comes in on a message, and it's distributed so people can keep up on it with the news if they're interested. That said, the news that we get typically is, I won't say censored, but screened so that we don't have anything that's particularly controversial. But the biggest way we talk to people who had stress was to physical exercise. Now, depending on the size of ship you're on, that may not be practical. If you're on a smaller ship, there really aren't a lot of places you can go to go work out. On the larger amphibs, there's an entire, the size of a small gym, up front with all these weight machines and everything else.
Nice.
Yeah. And if you are on one of the big deck ships, often you can, run around the flight deck before air ops start or something. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things. Typically, if there was a big problem with something like that, you get the chaplain to go talk to a guy and try to, counsel him on things. But that's about it.
I spoke with a psychiatrist.
One reason when the ship pulls into port, most guys get off ship on Liberty and go straight to a bar and get smashed.
I spoke to a psychiatrist once who said something I thought was very interesting. He said, I've seen people recover from depression. I've seen plenty of people recover from depression. Sometimes they have meds, sometimes they don't. I've never seen it hold if they didn't also get regular physical exercise.
Yeah.
And it's just your body. We're used to doing more. We have evolved to do more work than we do now. And it's nice to have physical work. Yeah. It's nice to have computers that do so much, and cars and stuff like this. But we used to have to walk a lot more. We used to have to pick up more things and do all this other stuff. And our bodies are not conditioned to not do that. So,
that plays into the fact that if you're doing a lot of physical activity, your body is more tired when you lie down to go to sleep, and you get a pretty decent night's sleep often. Whereas you don't burn off that kind of stress with physical activity. When you go to sleep, then your mind is constantly playing, your dreams become associated with the stress, and rather than reducing it, it tends to, leave it where it is or amplify it. And then you couple that with the fact that many military activities, particularly when you're deployed or in the field or whatever, you're not getting enough sleep regardless. You get 2 hours of sleep now, and then you're up for 4 hours, and you get another 2 hours of sleep, and then you get up to do your regular work day, and then you go to bed and get 2 hours of sleep, get up for 4 hours.
I forgot. So I wanted to hit this. Daddy Jim, 10 British sterling. Thank you for bringing the truth, sir. Slava Ukraine, Heroyam Slava, and thank you very much for your support. I did. The one thought that crossed my mind too is, I'm willing to bet the threat against Mercado. We played that. That's not our content. I'm betting he strikes us. I'm just saying, I am betting that guy's going to give us a strike for playing that. Oh, dear Lord.
Well, then you immediately go back to YouTube or whatever and say, this guy just issued a death threat at somebody. Why isn't he stricken?
Why is he? I'm surprised that threat was posted to Twitter 3 or 4 days ago. It's still there.
Yeah. Well,
I'm like,
Twitter. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm sitting there going like, yeah. I mean, literally, if you show, and there was a thing, I tried to confirm it. Somebody, by the way, sorry, I have a friend to whom on TikTok I just said Epstein. I haven't talked to them in a year, and I just said Epstein. That's all I did. I just said Epstein. The reason was, one of our news things was from a guy who's usually very reliable. It may have been true when he posted it, but what he said was, if you mention Epstein even in private DMs on TikTok, it replaces it with a heart. And he showed this happening. He said, "Go ahead, try it." I tried it. It didn't replace it with a heart, and then I had to tell my friend, "Sorry, I know we haven't spoken in a while, and I just said Epstein at you, but testing." I don't use TikTok that often, so I just can't. I was just like, I don't have a lot of people I can text on TikTok. At any rate, did I just say at any weight?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Oh, I love that. Mega fatwas.
MAGA fought was, yeah.
Yeah, MAGA is the American Taliban.
Yeah.
It's the only way to put it
That was how
in
Aaron
terms that
Sorkin
people
put
can
it.
understand.
That's how Aaron Sorkin put it. He said that in the newsroom. He's like, and he was talking specifically about MAGA. He was talking about the far right. What was the other? It's not jihad, but there's another. What amazes me, and I know it's just it. He really can do no wrong, and they think that they're being logical about all this, but it's sort of like, wait a minute, he's undermining every principle that you have fought for the last 10 years, 20 years, however long if you've been politically involved at all, like the gun issue, the states' rights issue, all of these things that you've said are important to you, and as long as it's Donald Trump saying it's dumb, you're like, yeah, that's a stupid idea. It's sort of like, the right of the state to make sure that elections aren't interfered with by the federal government is a bad idea, is a bad thing. When did that happen? Oh dear Lord. So I guess we're gonna find out. Yeah, my suspicion. I think you've got a good point. I think Home is gonna things are gonna calm down for a little while. It might be too long for Trump's preference. Okay. Well, if it does, he's then got to choose, okay, do I invade Cuba or do I invade Iran? Because I don't think he's going to let it stay. So I'm when I say things, I mean things in Minnesota. I'm
still fairly convinced that Iran is going to be a target.
Well,
because they're continuing to put forces into the bases we have in the other Gulf states. And I don't think it's going to be an actual invasion so much as a series of airstrikes, because the stuff that's going in are, helicopters for search and rescue groups. So if a pilot gets shot down, you go pick him up so they don't have a hostage, that kind of stuff. So I'm still half convinced that something's going to happen.
Oh, the BBC.
And they forward deployed all this stuff, so it costs money to do that. And we haven't seen a lot of stuff activated in preparation for doing anything to Cuba. I think if Cuba does become a target, that's going to be a couple months away.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I had forgotten you had mentioned that last time. The other thing is the BBC brought up that UK satellite imagery had shown that the US was forward deploying in exactly the same way that we had deployed for the bombing operation when we destroyed all their nuclear capabilities, and that we were using the same bases and the same exact layout and strategy, so that suggested that this was legit. We're going in. So I thought that was an interesting report by the BBC. I don't remember the particular. I'm so fucking sick of us U.S. or the everybody I know is sick of the U.S., including most Americans. Even MAGA, by the way, they're just sick of it in a very different way. All right, well, so what I think we're gonna do is we've got footage of. Let's see. Here, I'm gonna show it real quick, but we're not gonna play it. So we have footage from this is from CNN, and this is of the Peretti shooting, and they start all the way back at from like even 5 minutes beforehand. The first assault, what in my view was one of the craziest things, was they show. I will show this part here. Let me see if I can. They show one officer. Okay, here's an officer shaking his pepper spray can. So he's already getting ready to. And we're not going to play it and discuss it. I think we all know what happened. We've all seen it. But I am going to put the link in the news section, just the standard news section of our Discord for anyone else to see. Well, you can see here, look, this is what we had shown before. He's got his hands, he's pushing Peretti back, and all he's got now, he just shoves that woman right there. Peretti goes in to help, and they show it from another angle as well, but literally as he goes in to help, he gets pepper sprayed, and they literally shoved the woman. And what actually, he doesn't even reach down to help. What he does is he puts his body physically between the woman who is on the ground. And this is all new footage to me. I've seen all the footage. They did a spectacular job. I've seen what Reuters. So Peretti's getting upset as they literally push protesters into traffic. He is trying to help people around both the protesters and ICE. Here's the guy, and there's the woman. Just shoves him, then shoves the woman. Now, that was one hell of a shove. That was not, and she was no danger. We saw pictures of her before. All she had was a whistle. I mean, that's holy smoke. And she was not standing in the street. She was standing by a parking spot. So he shoves her like that. Now look, he's got his hand raised, and he's got his other hand, so he is standing between, and he is now getting pepper sprayed. All he's doing is standing between. He's got his phone. He is armed. He is not reaching for it. Nobody even knows he's armed. Now, he's still trying to help the lady and protect himself. He had his hand on her. He's now trying to help her up. He gets hit again. He's trying to help her up. Yep.
Reaches in to drag him off.
Yep. Now, they drag him to the ground, and CNN basically said, now this is the guy, I think they say that, this is the one who ultimately shoots him. He tries to pepper spray him, but the pepper spray can does not work. He pulls the trigger, it doesn't work. So as you can see, what were you going to say?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. As you can see, this is a spectacularly well done presentation. So I may even put it in general because that way it's just easiest for people to get to. You can see when he gets disarmed, you can see the whole 9 yards. And they cover this all the way starting beforehand, like him directing traffic, him yelling at ICE when they push people. It's a very well done presentation. We're not going to present the whole thing. It's about 5 minutes. It's not that long. But if there is any question you have as to what happened, the number of camera angles and the way they go from beginning to end will cover it. They do blur out any difficult parts. The whole thing is difficult. That shove is difficult. I mean, that shove is completely, she was not. There's nothing I can say. She wasn't. She was just standing there, and he's a guy, and he puts his full body weight into the shove. And this man just goes boom. Yeah, and what they say is that they detained them, but the audio, nobody says that you've been detained or you're under arrest. So all of that is post hoc. As with the gun, I mean, after they realized he had a gun, they're like, "Awesome, he's got a gun. That means we can." Or he brandished it at us. You know, it's like, yeah.
CBP person is the one who brandished Peretti's gun.
Yeah, in fact, he fired it too, which I don't know if I don't remember if that's covered. And again, I think we've discussed that. I don't think that gets mentioned in the report that they gave to Congress, but he fired it.
Here's the thing that needs to be pointed out.
Yeah,
those kind of semi-automatic weapons typically have a number of safeties on them, and in order to fire, you have to have engaged or disengaged all those safety features to be able to fire. The fact that the officer takes the gun and then moments later it fires into the ground.
Yeah.
That means he knew exactly what he was doing. He had to take the safety off. He had to be holding the pistol grip in the right way to disengage the other two safeties before he pulled the trigger.
Mark Reed just rated us. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are actually on the way to wrapping up, but I'll give you a brief summary before we go down, just a little rundown of what we covered in case you want to see the previous stuff. We're going to put this video up. It's by CNN, and it is the single best compilation of all the footage. They have footage I haven't seen, and I've been looking at everything from well before this incident happened all the way through, and you can see him directing traffic to help cars avoid ice, help cars avoid hitting ice protesters too. But then he just puts his body in between. What you're seeing now that they've highlighted, which I hadn't noticed before, is the guy who tried to pepper spray him and it didn't work is now hitting him in the head with the pepper spray can.
Yeah.
Which I had not. Yeah.
He's frustrated.
Yeah.
To some extent, don't take this the wrong way. To some extent, I can understand. He's frustrated. He's been dealing with people that have been yelling something approaching abuse at him all day. And he's just, get the hell out of here. Leave me alone. I don't want to put up with this crap. But that speaks volumes as to the lack of training these guys have.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been put into the field. Notice they're not in uniforms. They're wearing combat gear that tells everybody who and what they are.
Yeah.
But they aren't even wearing CBP or ICE uniforms.
Hold on, let me just check one.
We used to make jokes earlier in the war about Russian soldiers getting, a week or less of training before they were shipped to the front.
Yeah, we did.
To be honest, that is as bad as it is. Somebody goes into combat, they very quickly get the idea of keep your head down and point the barrel that way. But in this case, when you're dealing with crowds who are going to be confrontational right in your face, you need that training. You need to have been run through drills so you know that there are certain things you do not do. And these guys, it's like a checklist of don't do this. Yep, I did it. Don't do this. Yep, I did it.
Yeah. Oh, it's and like I said, the firing of the gun into the ground is inexcusable. That means they're ready to frame him, and that's it. And he does it without even. I mean, he does. You can just see it's the first thing he does as soon as he gets the gun. I'm going to discharge it into the ground. There's only one reason to do that. Dunk on you, $20. Working but listening. Slava Ukraine. Royam Slava. Spasibo Bolshoya. Duncan, you also gifted 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Those gifts help a lot. So, for those of you just joining us, for the most part, we covered a little bit what to do when you're stressed out. The answer was the one I hate the most and always get, which is try to get some physical activity. Also, curling up with a good book, I think, is nice, but really physical activity is good for the mind, body, and spirit. We talked about the threats against Andrew Mercado, and briefly, and that everyone should stay away from that. Do not engage him on Twitter. Do not defend Mercado on Twitter to him. This guy is extraordinarily dangerous. The courts are now looking for him. Just that kind of threat was insane. We also covered that there are now bills to remove the 17th and 14th Amendment, the 14th being a cornerstone of civil rights in the United States, and that Trump has, and that the House has dropped a resolution that would change voting and necessitate proof of citizenship and proof of ID when voting, which is going to disenfranchise. I forget what the number is. There's a specific number of roughly how many people would disenfranchise who don't even have a driver's license. So I think that's about what we covered. So if you guys want to go back and see that. It's worth
noting that it isn't recent. It was during the first Orange God King administration, but they also introduced legislation to repeal the 19th Amendment.
Oh, God, that's right.
I mean, these guys really do want to go back to a 1930s vintage America. Women should be pregnant and in the home and cooking dinner for the man who comes home. They shouldn't be allowed to vote. They shouldn't be allowed to have their own bank accounts. Minorities should be, knowing their place and doing what they're told. And if you're somebody we don't like and you're born here, that doesn't protect you. We get to deport you, and not necessarily to a country you have any kind of association with. We can deport you to El Salvador and put you in a torture prison, because that's a lot more fun.
And by the way, if you haven't, I know you have, so I'm talking to the audience. If you haven't seen the 60 Minutes on CCOT, you should see that. I think it is a responsibility as an American to see that, because you need to know where your government is sending people. Do you concur with that opinion?
Good point. Barron is an anchor baby.
Yeah, Barron is. I know.
So true.
Yeah, I think everyone.
I do
should
hear
see
that
the
her
CCOT.
movie is bombing at the box office.
Well, I heard that. I know I put this on the Discord already, but I heard that basically they were going to do a premiere for Epstein, and Epstein took the easy way out. That's what I heard. She didn't get that from me. Anyways, Melania, sort of self-indulgent piece of, and it's just like, you'd hope, but no, she is who she is. So, I think that's it. I think we've covered all the rights that Americans are getting taken away for this week. I'm sure we'll have more for you next week. Any final thoughts, Commander?
The only thing I think is interesting to mention is that I think it was Nome announced that they were going to be deploying ICE agents to the Olympics.
Yes.
Or in Italy. And Italy basically said, no, you're not. I still think they will try to send them in. But here's the neat thing about that, if they do. They don't enjoy diplomatic immunity.
Oh my. Well, that was something I wanted to talk to you about anyway, so I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's like you would set what's really, and for those of you, we've got so many new members, and I'm so delighted, and so many people who've been supporting this channel, but I think you and I spoke about this. We probably spoke, we spoke before the election, and said, what's he going to do if he wins? Well, he's going to get a private police force, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do this, he's going to do this. And so far, I can't think of a single one you missed. And
I hate to be right.
Yeah, I know. I think we'd all rather you had screwed that one up, but no. At least we were as informed as we could be. But one of the interesting things is, people have been sort of waking up to the idea that maybe ICE is his personal police force. And as you had pointed out, since he pardoned half of them for January 6th, they are fiercely loyal and feel like they can bonk people on the head, shoot them in the back, and all that other stuff, and they will be pardoned.
Part of what's going on that a lot of us don't realize, a lot of the career ICE people are hugely demoralized, and they're leaving the service.
Yes.
The shorthandedness that generates in the ranks means that they're even under more pressure to take completely unqualified and unscreened people into the service.
Yep. Well, and I can see no better proof that this is Trump's personal private army.
Yeah, this is
the fact that he wanted the brown shirts, that he wants to take them with him when he goes to the Olympics. Almost his own private army that he's bringing with him to Milan. They're ICE. There's no reason for them to leave the U.S. Holy, wow.
Yeah. They have no authority in Italy,
Yep.
other than they're going to supplement the Secret Service protection for the great Orange God King.
Please, let's do that. Let's just.
I would love to see them trying to smuggle their arms through customs. And the Italians just saying, yeah, congratulations, you've earned yourself a 3-year tour in one of our many prisons.
And Trump can't pardon you. I don't know. I think if is Trump stupid enough to replace all his Secret Service with an ICE detail? Because that would be interesting. These complete morons guarding the president of the United States. Well, thank you for bringing that one up, because I think that's good. And the fact that he's getting more comfortable with the idea of he's going to have a entourage of armed men that aren't the Secret Service, because he doesn't want people who are well trained and who aren't there to follow his orders. He wants
obedience. Yeah. Trumps everything.
Yep. It's the Republican Guard in Iran.
Yeah. Interesting comment from NetTube user here. For decades during the Olympics, police forces from participating countries have worked alongside local police to provide support and assist tourists from their own country.
And Trump says ICE is the natural choice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I'm sure in the past it's been FBI and
yeah,
because they routinely have offices in foreign countries. And, it's completely above board. It's not CIA covert stuff.
Yeah. If we send ICE there, we'll be lucky to get half of them back.
Yeah, given their behavior.
Oh. All right. Well, thank you very much for the raid. Thank you for the super chats. I'm going to see if I can get that back. Dunk on you and Daddy Jim. I really do appreciate it, and it really does help keep the lights on. So thank you all. And like I said, I'm going to put that video. That is the best breakdown I've seen of the shooting. I think the pieces that we showed of you see the whole thing. So and what transpired, it is stunning. I'm glad it's out there because it makes it a lot harder for the government to lie about it. They're still going to lie about it. There's nothing we can do about that. But they had to roll back their original lies because too many people had seen what actually happened. They weren't as successful as they wanted to be when they tried to steal everyone's cell phones. Which we also have the footage of that. A woman screaming as an ICE officer grabs her leg and has already stolen another woman's cell phone after shoving her down. But that's another. Thank you all for joining us. Our next scheduled show is Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, with a Xandering. It'll be a rundown. We had issues on the last one. I think it was the internet. I don't know what it was, but LJ, thank you. LJ Boone brings something up that is extraordinarily important. Protests alone will not do a heck of a lot. What worked in the 60s was the protests with the Montgomery bus boycott, which was devastating. They had no idea how much money they were going to lose. And I think, as you pointed out, Commander, it's the tech oligarchs and the wealthy, the capitalist oligarchs.
Republicans only pay attention when it affects their pocketbooks.
Yes. And the protests do not do that very much at all. It makes things inconvenient for them, but it doesn't really affect their pocketbooks. And
supposedly there's a general strike being planned for.
That's why, yes. Well, no, it's January 30th. That was that LJ was good enough to remind us with a $9.99 super chat. So thank you very much, LJ, for that. Nationwide strike. I don't recall the U.S. ever having actually planned. There was the strike in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago. But this is a call for a nationwide strike Friday, January 30th, so that would be tomorrow. We'll see how well that works. But the U.S. has gotten out of the habit of striking. We've gotten into the habit of protesting. We're very good at that, but we have forgotten how to strike, and we have forgotten that it is extraordinarily effective. In France, it's an act of war.
And many of the major civil rights changes have come via strikes, like the Pullman Porter strike back in the 30s.
Yep. With the French, it's basically an act of war. When the French, so in the winter, when garbage men strike, not only do they not pick up the garbage, but they go and open up all the fire hydrants in the dead of winter, so that all the water just goes and freezes the. Do not be in France when there's a general strike of any kind, because they do not play.
They know how to do it right.
Yes, yeah. You'll know there's a strike. But that was. Thank you for that super chat and for giving us the opportunity to discuss that, because that has to be said. We have forgotten how to strike. And striking is more effective than protesting. We shouldn't stop protesting. Striking and peaceful protests work. They're one of the only things that does. Wouldn't it work in World War II? Otherwise, wouldn't it work there? You can't negotiate with Adolf. But there are many cases where they do work, and this is one of them, I think. So, also, 10 pounds, Daddy Jim, best mods on the internet. Thank you, sir. I like to think so. I've been around them for a while. They know what they're doing. And the training that they got didn't come from me. It came from our head mod, for which I am immensely thankful. So, knows what he's doing. Thank you all. Thank you, Commander. And we may still... We're day to day here. We're assuming there's going to be a broadcast every day at a minimum, a rundown, just to let you know.
Remember, tomorrow's Friday.
So I have to say the Titan.
The administration loves to drop stuff on Friday.
Oh God, yeah. Titan Uranus official, our head mod. I keep sitting there saying, please change your name. It's like, no. Technically, aren't I your boss? No. Yes, you're the head. Oh, you think you're the... Okay, you're the boss, Nick. What would you like? Would you like me to get you some coffee? Could you change your name? No. That's basically... all right. Thank you all for joining us. Yeah, he's volunteer. So exactly. So I'm screwed either way.
The whole problem goes away if you pronounce the planet with the European way,
which is
Uranus.
That would be smart. Thank you. I'll try to remember that, which means I'm going to forget it. All right. Thank you all for joining us, and I will look forward to seeing you guys. I get probably tomorrow. Certainly, if there's a general strike of any significance, we will be covering that. Have a good day, all. See you probably tomorrow.